I'm already a millionaire in my mind. I may not see it yet, but I believe it now. In the same way a seed is called by its finished form, I'm accepting my divine inheritance as a child of God. I'm meant to have life and have it more abundantly. My treasure on earth shall correspond directly to the treasure in the heaven of my mind. Abundance is my birthright. Ashe, amen, and so it is. My name is Jullien Gordon, and I'm author of Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. After becoming a multimillionaire through real estate investing, I was moved by God at the beginning of the pandemic to share my money mindset that allowed me to quit my job in January of 2009 at the bottom of the last recession and achieve full financial freedom. I own my mental real estate before I own any physical real estate. This book is like some of your favorites: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, and the Bible all in one. But the divine downloads and thoughts that are in here are 100% original and came to me over a 6-month period at the beginning of the pandemic. This book is normally $100 on Amazon if you went there right now, but I want to give you access to it for free by inviting you to our next reading group. Yes, the reading group is 100% free. Every weekday for 100 days straight, I'll be reading and discussing the 10 money commandments in the book that make money come to you in your life easily, more frequently, and abundantly. And it will take about 30 to 45 minutes as we read 3 to 5 pages per day until we finish the book and reprogram your mind around money. Why 100 days? Well, if you are 30 years old, you've lived for 10,950 days. And we have to deprogram and reprogram the negative, scarcity-based money mindset society has taught you. And I believe I can do that in just 1% of the time in about 100 days. I'm done with shelf help. You know, when you buy a book to change your life, but you never read it, it just sits on your bookshelf and collects a whole bunch of dust. We off that. When is the last time you had an author actually read their book to you out loud because they cared about you getting the information in your soul? I'm not just here to get this book in your hands. More importantly, I want to get it in your head and your heart, because that's where the real transformation occurs, in the conscious and the subconscious mind. As scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not the type of book that you just read once. To renew the subconscious mind requires repetition over and over and over. So if you joined us last time, I encourage you to join us again. I myself have read this book over 10 times already. So click the link to join our next reading group, and when you sign up, I'm going to give you the first 2 chapters of the book for absolutely free on what is money and abundance is your birthright, so that you can start your journey to a more abundant life today. Rich Rising. Welcome to another day of Read Rich and Righteous. We're reading Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. We are now at the beginning of week number 7, and we are on page 162, and we're day 32, and we are reading the section called Word is God. So this is day 32. Go ahead and put in your consistency scores. I already see you putting them in there. There's a lot of 32s out there. I see people in the high 20s. Good. So we got people all over, and the consistency scores are there to actually measure how consistent we've been, because we know that to reprogram the subconscious mind requires repetition, and consistency is the measurement of repetition. So you're putting in your reps, and you are developing your mental muscle. You're developing your spiritual muscles, and these are muscles that you cannot see, right? But these are the ones that actually govern our life and actually determine our true strength, which is within. So happy to see you all being here on this journey so consistently over time. If you are new to the family, welcome. Go ahead and type 0 in chat. Go ahead and type 0 in chat if you're new. We're happy to have you here. Whatever attracted you to this particular space at this moment in time, we see this as divine intervention. You could be anywhere in the world right now. I could be anywhere in the world right now, but you and I are right here right now. You've just stepped into one of the most beautiful communities in the world, which is this community of the rich and righteous. We are seeking to become the wealthiest family in the world. That's 100,000 people with $1 million net worth. That would be $100 billion collectively, and that would make us the 5th wealthiest family in the world as of today. And so that's what we're focused on. And rather than just focusing on financial literacy, which is how you gain wealth, we are actually focused on financial spirituality, which is who you must become to gain wealth, right? We're focused on the inward, and this is my role in this financial movement that we have going on, is actually focusing on the financial spirituality, the unseen realm, the mental realm, right? Once the mind is right, then we can go take right action. Once the mind is right, then we can go take right action. If you give a whole bunch of wealth strategies to a poverty consciousness, they will not take root. Many of you have had $1 million ideas before. You had a rich seed, but the reason you're not a millionaire is because that rich seed didn't get planted into rich soil, and therefore it did not produce. And so we want to make sure that the soil is rich so that the next time a rich seed comes to you and the next time you tap into a frequency that is elevated from a wealth consciousness perspective, then that seed will take root in your rich soil of your subconscious mind and then bear fruit accordingly. So this is our role in the work, and I'm excited. So we are now in week number 7. It's been absolutely amazing thus far. We're getting very close to the halfway mark. In fact, at the end of this week, we'll be at the halfway mark. So that's really, really exciting. And I want to get right into it. If you're joining us again for the first time, you can go to richrightnow.com, to sign up for the challenge. It's absolutely free. It's a free 100-day money mindset reprogram. It's 100 days from start to finish, but 72 actual readings or weekdays, and with 2 Saturdays on the front end, which was our orientation, and then the Saturday on the back end, which will be our test of money, where people will share their success stories and what occurred for them over this 100-day journey. So go ahead and sign up for free at richrightnow.com. richrightnow.com. That's also an affirmation. I am rich right now, right here in this moment, not later out in the future. The future doesn't exist. I must be it for it to come to be, right? Now, once you do that, on the thank you page, you'll have the opportunity to get the ebook, audiobook, and all the replays that you may have missed. And this is for those who also have been here for a while but still miss some days. The easiest way to get the replays is to go get the digital package, right? That's available there. That's $49. Or you can get physical copies of the book. I'm going to give you 5 for the price of 1 on Amazon.com. This one book is $100. Yes, it's $100, because I know that this book will produce more than $100 worth of results in your life, right? But if you go to richrightnow.com, I'll give you 5 for the price of 1. I'll give you 5 copies, 1 for you and 4 for you to circulate. You can give those for free to other people. You can charge $25 for them, and now you've gotten your book for free, or you can actually make profit. I'm giving you the opportunity to do that right here and right now. So go ahead to go to richrightnow.com to get the replays or to buy physical copies of the book, and let's get into it. All right. So today we are on page 162, and we are continuing our journey. We just stepped into money commandment number 4, which is how the rich and righteous speak about wealth and money. How the rich and righteous speak about wealth and money. Last week, as we began this particular chapter, we started off with money talks and it also listens, and we uncovered some of the negative speech that we have about money and what we call money. We call money spoils. We call it disposable income, right? We talked about changing fixed income to mixed income, right? Money is tight to money is expanding. Spoiled rotten to spiritually aligned. From cash rules everything around me to God rules everything around me. From filthy rich to godly rich, right? From small business owner to scaling business owner. So we're starting to see how some of our language patterns are really revealing how we view money. And so we're here to change that in this particular chapter that we're reading. So we're in money commandment number 4. We are in the second section of that, which is word is God, and we're on page 162. All right. So type I got it when you got it and you're ready to read. I space G-O-D, lowercase G-O-D, space it. I got it. Right. We have to understand the difference between I got it and I got it. Right. So there's times where we have to show up and do the work, but then there's times where we have to let God show up and do the work, right? We know that of myself, I can do nothing. That's what Jesus said. It's the Father in me who doeth the works. So we have to know the distinction of when we actually have to do something. So we don't fall under the false premise of just pray for everything and just hope that it comes. No, we know that we actually have physical work to do in the body, right, to match what God is going to do. In fact, we never match what God is going to do, because God is so abundant. God is so powerful. But there is a role that we play in the manifestation process. The first 3 letters of the word manifestation are what? M-A-N. Man. Not as in gender, right? But as in mankind. So we have a role in the manifestation process, and we have the first role because we get to initiate that process through our conscious mind, and the conscious mind actually planting seed into the subconscious mind. All right. So the conscious mind, remember, has executive authority, even though the subconscious mind is more powerful than the conscious mind. Right. The subconscious mind, through automaticity, actually runs 95% of our lives. A lot of our lives are just programmed. Right. But the conscious mind has executive power, even though it is not as powerful as the subconscious mind. So this is where the power is, and this is why we call it Christ consciousness. This is where we're seeking to elevate to the highest level of thinking possible. And here in this particular book, we're exploring wealth consciousness, which is essentially the Christ consciousness of wealth. How would Christ think about money and wealth? And so that's what we're exploring here in this book. All right. So we're on page 162, and the scripture for the day is John 1:1 and John 1:14. Okay. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay. Verse 14, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. Page 162. There was a saying in the hip hop community that word is bond. It was a cooler, shorter way of saying my word is my bond. It meant that you could trust me, or I will always do what I say, or I am a man of my word. A bond is like glue, and it can hold things together. And that's exactly what words do when you string them together in a sentence. And your word is a bond between thought and thing, whether it is an agreement, action, or actual thing. In fact, I forgot what the Hebrew word, I think kadabra, right? Kadabra, actually, there's no distinction between the word word and thing in the Hebrew language. Word and thing are actually the same exact word in the Hebrew language. So your word is a bond between the thought and the thing. They're actually the same. In fact, abracadabra, the word that magicians use, literally means I create through my word. I create through my word, right? So that's really, really powerful in terms of understanding the power of our word and how we can use word, just like a magician, to manifest things in our lives. So we have to be very intentional with our speech, right? A contract that is written in words and signed is a legally binding agreement, right? So again, we're exploring word as a bonding agent. A contract that is in words, written in words and signed, is a legally what? Binding agreement. Your word is one of your greatest currencies. It is easier to mine that than cryptocurrency. It is easier to mine that than cryptocurrency. Okay? So we have to focus on our language. And to be honest with you, some of you would be better off not speaking so much. Some of you would be better off not speaking so much. In many ways, you are cursing your own life through you talking. You talk your way out of things instead of speaking your way into things. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. Sometimes we just need to shut up. Sometimes we just need to shut up. Because if you saw how your word was returning back to you, you would be like, oh my goodness, I need to just stop talking for a minute. Some of us need to go on a silent retreat. You don't have to go to Arizona or anything like that. You could just be silent in your own home and then be silent in your mind. That's where meditation comes in, right? Because we are quieting the mind. Some of us talk too much. We talk too much and we're just throwing words out there this way, that way, this way, that way. And we don't see the power of our word and how it's actually never returning to us void. The dollar bill says, in God we trust. And John 1:1 says, the word was God. So if God and word are synonyms, then in word we trust. In word we trust. If you don't have a dime in your pocket, you still have what? Your word. Proverbs 10:14 says, the wise lay up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool brings ruin near. Okay, this is when we're just talking out the side of our mouth and not realizing the power of our words. When someone speaks a lot, they run the risk of devaluing themselves with their words. The more words you say, the harder it is to keep your word. In the same light, when a lot of money is printed, it causes inflation, which decreases the value of the dollar. So when inflation occurs, the government is literally printing money, right? More and more money. And what is happening to the money that you have? It's actually becoming devalued. So when you talk too much, guess what? Guess what's happening to your word? You're actually devaluing your word. People are devaluing your word. You just talking, right? When dealing with fiat or fake currency, we are trusting each other's word, since paper money is a debt-based agreement, or IOU, as we discussed in the early chapters of the book. In a collective economy, money is more of an I owe us. It's an I owe us. But when too many people don't honor their word in an economy, the financial system breaks down. So when people can't pay their mortgages because they bought a single family home that they really couldn't afford, right? They're now not honoring their word, right? Now they're not paying the lender back, and the economy starts to break down because people aren't honoring their word. Are you seeing how this all works? Be mindful of your sin-tax. Everybody type SIN-tax. Or else your word will tax you. When you misuse your word, we know that sin means to miss the mark. When you misuse your word, when you sin with your word, when you miss the mark with your words, you will be taxed. When you miss the mark with your word, you will be taxed. We are taught to spell words, and spells are usually associated with witchcraft. We are taught not to curse, but then we are also taught to write in cursive. We call certain words root words because they take root when we say them or write them. We call a string of words a sentence, and sounds syllables, not syllables, syllables. Because as Matthew 12:36 says, but I tell you that everyone will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. For by your word you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Your words are literally a signed and sealed life sentence. Your words are literally a signed and sealed life sentence. Okay? Y'all with me? It's kind of quiet in here. Kind of quiet in here now that you're starting to recognize the power of your words, right? Words are also seen as symbols, and in music, symbols like words create what? Vibrations. All you're hearing from me right now is a vibration. The vibration from my lungs through my vocal cords are producing these words. These words are literally vibrations that you're hearing, right? And when you take notes, what are you doing? You, from a musical standpoint, a note is also a vibration. So when you actually are taking notes in your book, right, or in your journal, you're actually tapping into my vibration of wealth consciousness. You're trying to elevate in your wealth consciousness. My wealth consciousness is up here, right? And so when you are taking notes, you're literally tapping into my vibration or frequency when it comes to wealth consciousness. That's what it really means to take notes. A comma is a coma or unconscious pause between words, and a period is a complete time frame. For instance, the Renaissance period. When we take notes, we are tuning to the vibrational thought frequency of whoever is teaching, just like hearing a music note. There's also a thin line between words and images. In some languages, words are also known as characters because they act. Listen, like in the Chinese language, words are known as characters, or even the hieroglyphics. Words are also known as characters because they act on our behalf. This is also why they say a picture speaks what? 1,000 words. In hieroglyphs, images represent words. And we've gone back to image-based words with emojis. You use emojis on your phone? Guess what? All we're doing is going back to hieroglyphs. Emojis aren't any different than hieroglyphs. This picture actually communicates what I feel in this moment better than an actual text-based word. Words come in writing, speech or sound vibrations, and images. And this is how we communicate with God internally through our imagination and the world externally. When I speak of speech, I'm not just talking about the words you say out loud. We engage in just as much self-talk daily as we do talking out loud. The average person has more than 6,000 thoughts per day and speaks about 7,000 words per day, which are likely informed by those 6,000 internal thoughts. This is why meditating and quieting the mind so that you can hear God's thoughts, which are the highest thoughts in you, is so important. So you've heard me share this before, but if you ever had a snow globe, when you shake it up, right, you can't see clearly through it. You can't see the scene that's inside. But if you just sit still, if you just put the snow globe down for a moment, all of that snow settles, and now you can see the scene clearly. This is exactly what meditation does for your mind. Be still and know that I'm God. Take no thought is what Jesus said, right? People say, oh, meditation is all throughout the Bible, right? Be still and know that I'm God. Just pause for a moment. Let all of the worldly, conscious feelings that you have, let the five senses go to the side and just be still and tap into that small inner voice. I don't want that inner voice to actually be small. They've programmed us to believe that it's a small voice in comparison to all the noise, the loud noise that we're hearing from the outside. That voice is actually supposed to be louder than the outside world, right? And when you're truly in tune, you can hear that voice clearer than you can anything outside of you, right? And I don't listen to the radio anymore. I don't watch regular TV, right? Because that is the world trying to put words and noise in my head. I want this space to be a closet, right? I want it to be my bedroom, as we talked about last week. I want it to be that private place where God and I can convene, right? And have communion, right? This is why meditating and quieting the mind is This is why meditating and quieting the mind so that you can hear God's thoughts, which are the highest thoughts, is so important. Our speech reveals our beliefs. Our speech reveals our beliefs. Everybody type that. Our speech reveals our beliefs. Our speech reveals our beliefs. All right? Matthew 15:18-19 says, those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from where? The heart, right? And they defile the man. For out of the heart proceeds evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, theft, false witness, and blasphemy. If you listen carefully to how someone speaks about themselves in life, you can uncover their worldviews, mental models, and cornerstone beliefs. When asked, how are you? The person who responds, I can't complain. How many of y'all have done that? Oh, I can't complain, right? I can't complain versus the person who says, I have so much to be grateful for, are on two completely different wavelengths. The person who says, I can't complain, typically by default is looking for something to complain about. But in the moment that you bumped into them, they can't find anything to complain about. So they say, I can't complain. Are you with me? So the undercurrent from the subconscious mind is that they usually and typically have something to complain about. But in this particular moment, I can't complain, right? Whereas the person who says, I have so much to be grateful for, right? They are actually in their default undercurrent, in their subconscious, their feeling about life is one of gratitude. And they know that they have so much to be grateful for, so much that they can't even tell you all of it right now in this moment in passing, right? These two people are on two completely different wavelengths just based on their speech alone. You may think it's just semantics, but the speech reveals our belief. Our speech reveals our beliefs. Words may appear to be empty, but they have a massive impact on our reality. You see how I broke down the word massive, M-A-S-S -I-V-E? Our words have mass. There's no such thing as empty speech, family. Oh, we just shooting the No, there's no such thing as empty speech. All speech has mass. When someone says that's heavy, right? Or that hit me like a ton of bricks, it means that the word you just dropped on them and in them had mass, landed so hard that they felt it and became real in their experience. Some of you have had that experience during Be Rich and Righteous. Ooh, that's heavy. Ooh, what he said just hit me like a ton of bricks. And all I said was words. I'm not even physically with you right now in this moment. All I said was words, and it hit you like a ton of bricks. Are you understanding that words have mass, y'all? Words have mass. There's no such thing as an empty word. Thoughts become things, and your word is the easiest way to give thought form. The creation process, which we will cover in Money Commandment number 8, goes from formless to thought form to word form to physical form. A, C, G, and T are the letters of the DNA code. In the same way that DNA strings letters together that leads to life, so do our words. Not only do these sequences have a unique appearance, but they also result in unique sounds, vibrations, and frequencies. This book has a frequency of abundance, righteousness, belief, joy, creativity, and prosperity. The English language in particular is unique because many single words have many meanings, and those meanings can be decoded by how you speak the words or the context that they are used in. For instance, bread means one thing at a grocery store and another thing in an urban business transaction, right? At the grocery store, bread is on the bread aisle. It's what you eat. But in the urban context, right, when we're talking about business, I'm trying to make some bread, right? We call money bread. I'm trying to make some bread, right? So this is what's very unique about the English language. When you speak anything into existence, you and I verse writes your invoice. When you speak anything into existence, the you and I verse, okay, the universe, the you and I verse, I'm having a conversation with my inner higher self, writes you an invoice, right? What's the last word of invoice? What's the suffix of invoice? In-voice. Write you an invoice. The inner voice records what you want, implying that it's available and yours. Oh yeah, I'm sending you an invoice because it's available. I would not send you an invoice if I was out of stock. But is God ever out of stock? Is God's inventory ever depleted? No. So what you want is here. And I'm writing you an invoice, right? With your inner voice. Isaiah 55:11 says, "So shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it." So we send out our word. Remember, thy kingdom come. We don't have to go anywhere. We get to send out our word. If we look all throughout Genesis, how does God create? God was creating through word. Let there be light. And then there was light. Let there be this. And it was good, right? God creates through word, through these vibrations. So don't just think about words as words in the dictionary. It's through vibration. And some of those vibrations, we actually call them words, okay? It's through vibration that we create and manifest. And again, some vibrations we recognize, like the word the. We all recognize the word the, but that's really just a vibration that we gave the unified term the to. Okay, we just agreed upon that. But at the end of the day, it's just a vibration. Okay? So if you keep your belief in check, as in a written check, if you keep your belief in check, your word shall never return void. If you keep your belief in check, your word shall never return void. Now, all you have to do is pay the price. All you have to do is pay the price by sacrificing, guess what? The lesser value, things of lesser value to you, especially old limiting beliefs. The price is usually never financial, family. The price is actually your old self. It's your old limiting belief. You say you want to elevate from here to here. Well, you have to let go of all the beliefs that are keeping you in bondage here in order to get there. Because what got you here will not get you there. So we have to elevate our thinking. And so that's the true price. But many of us get so comfortable in our current self that we never want to release it and let go of it in order to become our new self, our transfigured self. In the beginning was the Word, and that Word was made flesh. Every word is a mental transaction between you and God. With every thought, you are placing a new order, and the universe responds. So be it. This is the law of correspondence. Notice the prefix core. So it's what's coming out of your core. It's what's coming out of your heart, right? It's the law of correspondence. It's not necessarily what you say with your conscious mind or even with your lips. It's really the vibration that's coming out of your core. What you want at your core creates a frequency, and God responds. You get to invent the inventory, and God's infinite supply never runs out. God is the infinite source of your supply, and the storehouse of this universal substance that can be molded into anything is all yours. God can fulfill any order faster than Amazon Prime. If the lines of communication are clear in your mouth, the lines of distribution are clear in your mind, and you are ready to receive. God can fulfill any order faster than Amazon Prime if the lines of communication are clear with your mouth, the lines of distribution are clear with your mind, and you are ready to receive. Because God might send the package, but you might not be home to receive it because you weren't ready. Right? God knocking on your door, but you're not ready. You weren't dressed in the right feeling for the occasion. You were asleep when the delivery driver arrived. When you become a deliberate creator, you become more mindful of how you speak to yourself about yourself, because you know that your word is a bonding agent between heaven, right? Heaven, the greatest good that we can see for ourselves in our mind, right? Our mental experience of life, and earth, which is our material experience of life, right? So our word is a bonding agent between heaven and earth. The moment you speak, heaven, your mental experience, starts to descend to earth, your material experience. Our word is affirmed. The suffix of the word affirmed, firm. When something is made firm, it is actually starting to become physical, right? Our word affirmed by belief becomes our reality. As gods, we call things that are not as though they were. Romans 4:17. So we have the power to declare something that does not exist through the five senses. We get to declare it with our word and through our imagination. The images that we see in our minds, right, which are characters that act on our behalf, and then expressing those as words, we get to declare, right, call things that are not as though they were. We have that power. All right? And so that is it, family. 4 pages. That is it for this particular chapter. And so I hope you're starting to understand. And my actual homework for you today is actually to be as quiet as you can today. You may be used to talking. Always the first to raise your hand, always the first to speak up. Today, I want you to try something new as you go out into the world. I want you to shut up. I want you to shut up. Because some of us are actually cursing ourselves just by talking. You're going to be tempted to talk. You're going to be tempted to say things. And by talking, I don't just mean speech. I also mean commenting on Instagram posts, right? Replying to YouTube videos, except for these. Of course, except for these, right? I just want you to be quiet today. Somebody calls you that you know their conversations are low vibration. Don't answer today. Today, I want you to do your best to have a silent retreat. I know you got to go to the corporate plantation. I know you got to go to work. I know you have to work with your customers as entrepreneurs. That's okay. But outside of that, I just want you to be quiet. I don't want you to put on any headphones. I don't want you to listen to any music in the car. I don't want you to listen to music while you work out. I want you to just be quiet today. As quiet as you possibly can. I'm not asking you to go on a 3-day or 7-day silent retreat. I just want you to bring as much quiet into your space today. You're going to hear the words in your head that you want to say. And I want you to catch yourself. Before it comes out the gate of your mouth, I want you to catch yourself and say, is that word creative or destructive? Is that word creative or destructive? Is that an empty word, right? Is that word going to add any value to the conversation between me and the universe? The you and I verse? Is that going to add? Is that going to create the life that I desire? That is my challenge for you all today. And if you decide to carry that forth throughout the week, then do so. But the more and more we speak, the more we devalue our word. And so when you do speak, we want it to be clear and concise and exactly what you want, because that word shall never return void. All right. So that concludes today's reading. Tomorrow, we're going to continue this section on money commandment number 4, and we're going to get into words create worlds. Words create worlds. So we'll be on page 166 tomorrow. Words create worlds. So pull up for that, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. Make sure you set a phone alarm. And as you go forth today, make sure that you be God to yourself, family. Love yourself as God would love you. Be master over yourself as God is master over you. And remember that you are God or first cause in your own life. And there's no institution, individual, or situation outside of yourself that has more direction over the future of your life than you. You are first cause. Be God to yourself, family. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Shh, be quiet. I, Jullien Gordon, with this mortgage, relinquish part of my freedom to psych. I've been rent-free since I acquired my first multifamily property, a triplex in Brooklyn, New York, in May of 2013. And since then, I now own 16 multifamily properties with 40 doors that generate about $38,000 per month in rents in just 8 years on the side. Do not sign a 30-year mortgage. Get freedom for life when you buy a multifamily property. Did you know that the word mortgage literally means death pledge? The prefix mort is the same as mortician or mortuary. Listen to me. 44 million households rent, and 82 million single-family buyers think that they own, but they don't. HGTV will say, congrats, you're a homeowner. But that's not true. That's a lie. The moment you get the keys, you're a home buyer. And that is a huge difference. As a home buyer, you're still paying rent. It's not rent to a landlord. It's rent to the bank to use their money. That's called interest. You are borrowing the bank's money, right? The interest on a $300,000 home at a 4% interest rate will be about $208,000 over 30 years. So that $300,000 house is actually a $508,000 house. What does that mean? That means that you're not only buying yourself a home, you're also buying a home for your banker. If this is you, I can help you get out of this by acquiring a multifamily property. Whether it is rent or a mortgage payment, most American housing expense takes up about 35% of their income. In times like this, when rents are rising, unemployment is rising, and inflation is rising, but wages are staying stagnant, you absolutely need to be rent and mortgage free. Imagine the freedom of never, ever, 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 ever having a housing expense for the rest of your life. If you want financial freedom, starting with your rent and your mortgage, like I did, then click the link below and register for my free webinar coming up on how to finance, find, and finalize multifamily real estate deals. It is actually not as hard as you may think, but keeping up with rising housing costs are. You need to be the receivers of rent, not the payers. Your time is now. Click the link below.